When my husband and I decided to get married, he told me that he wanted a prenup. And I reacted to that pretty much like every other woman. I wasn't overly enthusiastic with the idea because I really just feel like you're walking in with the mindset of potentially, okay, I know this is going to fail. But I kind of got where he was coming from because he was raised by a single mom and they were very poor, like even to the point at one point when they were homeless, and he moved multiple times and he had just really struggled and worked hard to get himself out of poverty. And also many of the men on his department have been completely and totally screwed out of half of their retirement and such. So he was very aware of the potential financial risk that came with getting married, and he wanted to do everything to mitigate against that risk. So I'm still not happy with this whole fact that we're having this prenup drawn up, but I go ahead and proceed with it. And then I included a very unusual provision. And that provision was that if he filed for divorce, that I would pay him $10,000 extra. Yes, you heard that right. If he was the one to file for divorce, he would get an extra $10,000. Why would you do that? Why would you pay a man to divorce you? And I did that for one reason only, and that was to ensure that he didn't waste my time. You see, I inherently understand the value of life. I lost a sister in a car accident when I was 21. She was 23. I most recently lost my other sister to cancer. So I inherently know that life is precious and I don't want my time wasted. And if my husband didn't want to be with me for any reason, I wanted to give him every incentive to leave. I did not want him sticking around solely because it was a financial benefit for him to do so. Now, you should probably know, like given that I have a marriage podcast, that I am a big advocate for marriage, and not only for marriage, but making marriage the best it can be. But I do also believe that there comes a time that it's time to go. There are certainly factors that you have to consider if you get to that point. So having children in the home is certainly one of those very valid reasons to stay in a relationship that's awful. Not wanting to give up time with your children is one thing, but I'm having a hard time understanding why money would be one of these reasons. Staying in a marriage with a contentious, awful woman who makes you feel like shit, who never gives you sex, who's completely emotionally checked out, I don't understand how money is worth it. It's almost as if you're selling your soul. Like it's almost a slap in God's face. I know you gave me this wonderful, beautiful opportunity to come to earth, but my soul has a price and I'm willing to pay it. The only thing I can think to try to understand this mindset is that maybe it's not as bad as you make it to be. Like maybe she's not that awful. And sometimes it's like that, when you're kind of stuck in a job where it's not good, but it's, good enough to where you don't want to leave and find somewhere new. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So you just stay in this, same place all the time because, it's safe. Do you not have the ability or the confidence to be able to make more money? I guess, what's your price for peace? What's your price for the potentiality of meeting somebody new and having an amazing life, an amazing relationship that you deserve? You've put a dollar figure on it. Because if things were truly like as awful as some of you make it to be, then you would willingly say, take every penny I have, take it all. I know guys who've done that. Half their retirement, alimony, the full shebang. And now they no longer are retired and they have to get a second and third job. And you know what they say? It's worth it. It's worth it because I have the peace. I'm not stuck with this god-awful woman who hates me, who doesn't give me sex, who makes me feel like shit. The moment you give up your willingness to walk away from a marriage is the moment that she takes over control. And a woman in control is never a good thing. She knows no matter how much she disrespects you, no matter how little she cooks, no matter how little bit of sex that she gives, if any, you're not going to walk. You sold your gift of life that God gave you. And so if you're not staying for kids, another big reason that men endure awful marriages is because they take their vows that they made on their wedding day very seriously. And men typically are very loyal and they will just essentially suck it up and be miserable and lonely and live a life of quiet despair. because of the fact that they made a vow with God. And that's exactly the sentiment you need to go in with, like that you're willing to stick it out. But anytime you're taking away the threat of divorce, that no matter what happens beyond adultery, which is allowed, beyond adultery, no matter what, how awful she is, how demeaning, how belittling. Now, infidelity and adultery to me doesn't only necessarily skew only in a physical aspect, at least in my mind. Infidelity to your vows is a very real thing. So I'm not trying to advocate as if I'm like, oh, just don't take your marriage vow seriously and go get some on the side or anything like that. I'm not whatsoever. But I'm saying the fact that you took your willingness to walk away, you've taken away every source of power of a man to have the marriage that you want. It's just like a kid who has no consequence for any of his bad behavior. How is he going to rein himself in? And the funny thing is that women like boundaries. Women love boundaries. Nobody ever tells you that. We love it. We love that crap. Give us more boundaries. Marriage by itself is basically self-imposed boundaries and rules. So it's really just something that makes me sad to see men living their lives in quiet desperations, enduring with women who can just sometimes be downright evil, knowing that you essentially are shackling yourself into your own marital slavery. It's not what it's about. I would have a hard time believing that God would be okay with that. But for me, life is too precious. If at any time my husband ever feels that his life is better without me in it, or that he wants to be with somebody else, I will, with tears in my eyes, internally being shattered and destroyed, walk away and give him a $10,000 check in the process. With that, I'll see you next time.